Here we go.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming down today. My name is Kerry. I've come along from Switch Your Thinking, which is a program all about sustainable activities in the community. It's run out of the City of Gosnells, the City of Armidale and the Shire of Serpentine, Jarrahdale. And our team split our time between each of those councils, but we also have a whole host of member councils that are involved in Switch Your Thinking, and Rivers Regional Council is one of those. That's why we're here today. And the purpose, or the main focus of today's talk, is our home sustainability audit kits that are now available from the library to loan. So what we're going to be doing today is unpacking the box, literally and figuratively, to give you guys some really handy take-home hints and tips that you can implement today. In the box. So the first thing is this Your Home manual. So this is Your Home technical manual that has all of the information from choosing the right block to build your home on, right through to retrofitting old houses with very inefficient lighting and appliances, and how to do all of those things, as well as the technical specifications around it. So if you have a skeptic in your home, often they really want to get down to the nitty-gritty fine detail. This is the resource to give that person. And also a lot of this information is available from, oh there it is, yourhome.gov.au. This back a second time. Okay. Yeah, so a lot of that information is available from the website as well. So great resource for you. So I'll be referring back to a few of these items today as we go through the information. One of them is a compass. So it teaches you how to read a compass, and then you can stand on your block at home or out the front of your house and decide which way your home faces, if you don't know already. And that's important when it comes to solar passive design, which we'll talk about a little later today as well. So a compass. There are also a couple of temperature devices. One is a thermometer here, but it's an important thermometer because it tells you the temperature that your freezer should be at, the recommended running temperature of your fridge, winter heating, summer cooling. It also reminds you of your hot water temperature. You probably don't use the thermometer to check that though. So when I took this home the other week, I just popped it in my fridge. I left it there overnight, have a look at it in the morning and make sure that it's running at the correct temperature. So a whole range of activities to use that thermometer for. A bit more technical is this infrared thermometer. So what you can do is you point this and it will read the thermometer at the place you point it to. So for example, you can check the temperature of the air conditioning. So you can see the red light there. So that's 24.7 degrees. And just before we started this presentation, I checked that and it was 19 degrees because Val walked in and said it's a bit chilly, so we turned it up. So it's a good way to see how responsive your air conditioner is. Another good way to use it is to check your insulation. So on a summer's day, if you go around and check random spots in your ceiling, if one spot is a bit hotter than anywhere else, maybe you have a hole in your insulation or it's compacted there. So I'm sure you become quite familiar with this if you take it home. I used to work at SciTech, and we had a guy, he was the IT guy, and he would collect the data from the air conditioning in the back office so we could present it to facilities and tell them how it fluctuates throughout the day. So lots of uses for the infrared thermometer. We also have, when it comes to appliance use, this is a really handy gadget. It records or measures the amount of electricity an appliance uses. So for example, you could check your what your television uses on standby. What I did was check to see if my mobile phone charger uses any standby power when it's just plugged into the wall. It doesn't. but it does use 5 watts an hour while it's charging. So
some of them do, don't they? Some chargers do.
Some chargers do. For example,
Some of them are hot, like when
yeah, some of them are hot, and some of them also have lights, like computer adapters. So anything that has a light or is hot or is buzzing is using standby power. But this is a good way to test it. Also test other appliances, your toaster, kettle, microwave, again, myriad of uses with that. And then there are a couple of, there's also this flow cup. So this is quite ingenious. You probably know that you can get flow restrictors on your taps. So probably not a good idea to use on your kitchen tap because you want to fill up the sink quickly. You don't want to stand there and wait 10 minutes while your sink fills up with hot water. But in your bathroom, for example, you probably don't want 20 litres a minute coming out from your bathroom tap while your kids or your friends are washing their hands. So what you do is you put this under the tap and you move this across until this cup is at the water in the cup is level, so it's not overflowing but it's not going down. And then you use this little measure here and it measures litres per minute flowing through the tap. So you can measure your water use and then decide whether or not to get a flow restrictor. And then finally, there's a couple of cool resources. So the Zero Waste Lifestyle, Live Well by Throwing Away Less by Amy Korst. Really, well, I haven't read it, no, let's be honest. It seems like a really good resource. Oh, I've only been in this job a couple of weeks, that's why I haven't read it. Not because I don't find it interesting. I have flicked through it and it is quite, it's focused on the Northern Hemisphere, so there are some things that you have to translate into Australian. But yeah, lots of great hints and tips in here, and again, like practical take-home advice. There's like easy, medium, and advanced tasks that you can decide to implement when you want to. Hello, welcome. Thanks for coming. Yes, there's Zero Waste, and then also Bag It, a documentary all about plastic bags. And it would be good to know from you guys once you've seen it if it encourages you to change your behaviour or your use of plastic bags. Maybe especially the skeptics, not that you're a skeptic, but yeah, that's a skeptic. And then this is your guide to a home energy or home sustainability audit. So you go through all of the different facets of your home and answer these questions, and it has lots of practical advice and hints and tips on how to make changes right away in your home.
Is that the similar guide to what, Switch Your Thinking or councils that offer to do a free guide sometimes?
Yeah, we were just talking about that actually. So that's not, Switch Your Thinking doesn't offer that at the moment, but this is, these kits are available now to borrow from this library, and the idea is that you can take these home and do your own sustainability work. Yeah. Great. So you're welcome to, at the end, come up and have a look through. If you do have any questions or comments or stories you'd like to share, feel free to interrupt.
How many of these kits will the library hold?
Oh, that's a good question.
Two, is it?
Is it? Well, I brought 2 today. I think maybe 4. So they've got one that's on loan already. This one's available today, and then I've brought 2 more. So I think 4 is the answer. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So we'll move on. So as I talked about at the beginning, Switch Your Thinking is a program that has been developed by local government for local government, and it's a dynamic program. We're constantly working on different initiatives with different members of the community on different sustainability issues, and a good place to find out what we're up to at the moment is switchyourthinking.com. But today, we're going to talk about energy efficiency. And everyone came today because you've got your own reasons that you're interested in energy efficiency. Does anyone to share those reasons?
Yeah, well, I'm at uni at the moment and I really want to go into sustainability, and I just think it's really, really important, and like the people have to change before like obviously the government's being a bit silly, so
Yeah,
you
great.
do something individually.
And so is that from, I guess, the planet perspective, sustainable ecosystems? Yeah. And what are you studying at university?
Science and commerce.
Great. Cool. Thanks for coming along today. Anybody else?
I'm interested just to know how one can operate at a better level and just be more efficient and more sustainable and perhaps save money.
Yeah, yeah. And that's something that I'm interested in, is the opportunity cost of wasting energy. We were talking before about energy efficiency being a waste issue. Because if you're spending, even if it's only, if you save $50 a year on your electricity bill, that's still $50 a year that you could be putting somewhere else.
They're happy to pay that.
Yeah, there's something, yeah, there's probably something more enjoyable for you than leaving your television on standby for a year.
Can I ask you a question at this stage?
Yes.
You know, with the plug,
Yes.
you're testing your electrical appliances.
Mm.
When it tells you the reading, how do you know that it's efficient or not? Is there something that tells you in all that?
I don't know that we tell you exactly about the appliances in here, but there are lots of resources online. One of them particularly that I've been looking at over the last couple of weeks is energymadeeasy.gov.au, which is a government site, and it will tell you the average running costs of appliances and things left on standby power, so that's probably a good resource for you to use. But that's a really good question. You can go around and
I read it and write it all down, but is it optimal, or is it really, I should chuck that kettle away and get a more energy efficient one? That's a decision I'd like to be able to make.
Yeah.
I think you can say, because it gives you a kilowatt readout,
Yeah.
you can, and it will also give you a cost, those kilowatts. You can decide on an economy basis as well whether you actually want that or not, And then I suppose, like Kerry was saying, you go online to see if there was an alternative to what you already had.
But what you need is sort of a baseline, isn't
Yes.
it? So you find out what your kettle is costing you to run. Who knows if there's a better one? If you don't know what the optimal level should be.
Yeah, it's also about the way you use your appliances. So you can see, like a kettle is actually quite energy intensive.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of electricity to heat up that water. So, and by using, you may already know that, but by using this, you'll be able to see how many kilowatt hours it's using, and then decide how often you're going to boil your kettle, or whether you need your kettle full each time you boil it. So you're going to run it for 4 minutes instead of just putting your cup of water in there. So it's about how you use your appliances as well. Because we definitely don't suggest that you go and get rid of all of your appliances and buy new ones.
Yeah, because you might still find that it uses the same amount, if not more. And once you've bought it, you've spent that money on the capital, but you haven't saved the variable. So maybe the thinking might be, instead of boiling a cup of water in the kettle, to just use the microwave.
Yes. Yep.
Maybe that's more efficient.
That's right. Yep.
Great.
So some people say, can I make a difference? There are a lot of issues in sustainability. You're just one householder in one home. What difference could you possibly make? This is a pie graph of the greenhouse gas emissions in Australia. So you can see that 36% of emissions come from electricity use, and about 20% of those are on a household level. So it takes up a big, giant whack of our resources to...
When you say 20%, do you mean 20% of the whole pie or 20%
of the 36%?
What is it in red between the two greens?
Oh, that's fugitive emissions. Yeah. Okay. So we definitely can make a difference. And how can you save? How can you save money? How can you save electricity? It's a lot more than light bulbs. Light bulbs have become the beacon of energy efficiency in the home. We're going to talk about lighting a little bit because people love it. We're also going to talk about other things in the home as well. So energy use in the average Australian home. So heating and cooling accounts for 50% of energy use. Where you can, oh, you probably can't see actually, lighting is this dark section over here, so 7%. And water heating is another 20%. So heating and cooling plus water heating is 70% of most people's electricity bill. You also have to adapt these figures to your own situation. For example, my husband and I sit on the couch with a crochet blanket over us in the winter. We very rarely heat the house, so it's unlikely that heating and cooling would be 50% of our electricity bill. And the same if you have solar hot water heating, for example, it's unlikely that water heating would be 20% of your electricity bill. But this is the map for the average Australian home. Here we go. Right. So this is the Synergy bill, your electricity bill. Put your hand up if you feel you're quite familiar with this piece of paperwork. You look at it diligently every month. Great. Well done, ladies. Does anyone here have solar power, solar panels on their roof? Yep, a couple of you, fantastic. All right, so for those of you that aren't very familiar with this piece of paperwork, and I know myself, right now my Synergy bill is, I get a direct debited, and I'm on paperless billing, so it just goes into my email folder, and then I do look at it, but sometimes it takes a little bit of effort. One thing that, if you're just going to look at it quickly, a good thing to scan is this bar graph here. That shows you on the right-hand side, it has the same time of year, same electricity, no, the electricity use at the same time as last year, and the middle one is the last bill, and the one on the left is this bill. So you can see
one on our right, which is this bill.
oh yes, sorry,
Yes.
I'm looking at it the other way. Yeah, and it's measured in units. So a unit is a kilowatt hour, so that's 1,000 watts per hour. So this person uses on average 6 units of electricity a day, and the units are currently charged at 24.5 cents per kilowatt hour. So that's a good thing to look at. Compare your electricity use to last year, and then also to the same time to the last bill. If you've got solar panels, then it gets a little bit more complicated, because you may have, does anyone have their net feed-in tariff? So you're getting 40 cents per unit for the feed-in tariff, which is terrific. And then some people are on the 8 cents tariff if they've got their solar panels more recently, which is also great. So that is your Synergy bill. Have a look at it, try to work out if your electricity use varies through the seasons, or if the changes, like Tamara was talking about, she went home and made changes straight after seeing this presentation. This is a good way to see if those changes are making a difference in your use as well.
Is there like an average use per household?
There certainly is. At the end, I've got a website. I think it's there, and you can plug in your postcode and how many people in your household, and it will tell you an average energy use. I think Julie actually did it before she did this one, and for a 3-person household in this area, it's 17 units a day. Yeah. Yep. So it is an average. It's not an aspiration. You can't sit there and think, oh, 17. I might leave the air conditioning on tonight. No, that's not the way to look at it. So yeah, I know I use about 6 a day. I'm trying to bring that down, and often what happens is when people have a change in circumstance, their electricity use fluctuates. So we've just moved into, well, just a year ago, but we've moved into a 2-bedroom house instead of a 2-bedroom unit. So the space is bigger, and quite frankly, like, it's difficult to know where the electricity is going in a big space. So something to keep an eye on. Talk to your neighbours about. Talk to each other about what the electricity use is. Now, do you know what tariff you're on? Because you're quite familiar.
Smart power.
Smart power, great. And what about yourself? You don't know? Okay. So does anybody else know what tariff they're on?
I haven't signed up into a smart pass, so it must be whatever else that you pay for.
Yeah, the standard is the home plan A1
That's probably what I want.
on the left. So that's probably the one you're on. So that's 24.5 cents per kilowatt hour. That's charged at. The smart power is a time of use tariff. So it's there to encourage people to switch their energy use to off-peak times when other people and businesses aren't using electricity. It's not as simple as that though, because peak and off-peak times change depending on the season and depending on the day of the week. And I think
shoulder rates as well.
yeah, and off-peak shoulders, yeah. So can you explain to us a little bit about maybe how you use smart power in conjunction with your solar feeding?
Okay, so we use maybe 3 or 4 units a day. It's harder now that I'm at home all the time, but before when both of us were working, I can barely use anything during the day because everything's off at the wall. In terms of smart power, we used to do like boil water for them because we boil our water because we're a bit anal about having it clean. So we used to boil it after 9 o'clock, and we do our washing on the weekends where it's a cheaper rate. Things like that.
Yeah. Also, because you're on the net feeding tariff, you don't want to be using electricity during the day because, what's your name, sorry? Kim. Kim wants her solar panels to be generating electricity and selling them back to the grid, 40 cents a unit. Whereas Robin is not on the net feeding tariff, so she wants to be actually using the electricity that her panels are generating, so she'll be using electricity during the day. So it gets quite complicated. Power shift is similar to smart power, but the difference is in the price. So the smart power, you get a discount, the off-peak rate is 17 cents, I think. But then you get a super peak rate with power shift that goes up to about 70 cents per kilowatt hour. So you have to be quite diligent about when you use electricity. You have to have a good understanding of what peak and off-peak times are and how you use electricity at home. And
So
yes.
the peak times, if you were on smart power, you were using it during peak times, would your cost be more than the 24 cents?
Yes, yeah, I think it's about 40 cents. Yeah, yeah. And then there are a couple of other plans. One of them is the hot water plan, which is you can no longer sign up for it. And the final one is the home business plan, but that's more applicable to people with very large businesses like farms or people that live as a caretaker on a processing facility. So we've looked into it a little bit, and there's not really any benefit for people that work from home. So that's the tariff.
Sorry, what was the power shift?
So power shift is quite new, and it's similar to smart power, except the rates are different. So it could be cheaper at off-peak, but there's a super peak charge for using power at peak times. So now we understand our electricity use and what tariff we're on. We're going to talk about a little bit about how we may be able to make a change to our electricity bill. And one of the foundational ideas is passive solar design. So it's about heating and cooling, and it's about building a house or living in a house where you don't have to necessarily artificially heat or cool your home, or you don't have to do it very often. So you want to let in the summer breezes and the winter sun, and you want to keep out the winter drafts and the summer sun. And this all has to do with the sun in the sky and a little astronomy lesson. You've probably all heard that it's good to have a north-facing block, and that's because it's all about the winter sun. So when the sun always rises in the east and sets in the west, but because the tilt of the Earth on its axis, on its orbit around the sun in the sky will be at a different angle. So in summer, it travels on a very high arc, so it'll go right over the top of your home, and hopefully It'll shine on your eastern wall and your western wall, but your northern and southern sides of your home should be protected by your eaves. But in winter, it travels at about a 33-degree angle, so it will still shine on your eastern wall and your western wall, but it'll also be low in the sky, so it'll shine on the northern side of your house. So if you happen to have really large windows on the northern side of your house, you're going to get that lovely winter sun, which will provide warmth. And we always want to shade our eastern and western walls because they're always going to be in full sun. And we can have bedrooms and bathrooms on the southern side of the house. So that means they're going to be colder, but we have lovely things like electric blankets and hot showers to warm us in bedrooms and bathrooms. We don't necessarily have to artificially heat those. So as I said with this book, this passive solar design is really awesome. If you're out there looking for a block to build a house on, that would be the perfect time to think about this and think about how you would orient your house on that block and the kind of house you would build. But for people like us that already live in existing dwellings, we can still adapt this theory to our existing homes. And this was shown in this trial house, which is a double brick and tile house in Maddington. That Switch Your Thinking worked on, we called it the greenhouse. It was back in 2007, so long before my time there. But they picked up this house, they bought this house. Next door, there was a house, identical design, and we made some changes to this one to try and increase the environmental performance or the thermal performance of the house. So this is the house before we made any changes. This is the western wall. So the western sun will be beating down on this wall. There's also quite a big window in that back wall. Any ideas on what we would do for this house? Thinking about solar passive design, the principles we just learned about.
Verandas.
Veranda, yeah, that's a good idea. Any other ideas? So the principle being that we want to shade that western
Plants.
Yep, plants, good one. Yep. So what we did is we did shade it. We planted a grapevine. Grapes are awesome because they're deciduous. So in summer, they're nice and leafy and green, and then they block out the sun. In winter, the leaves fall away and it lets in the sun. Come on, buddy. I'm learning the video. Here we go. There we go. Deciduous vine, grapes. Great. And the lighting's not very good in here, but you can also see this shade cloth coming out this side. So this is the northern side where that shade cloth is shielding. It's not to block out the northern sun though. It's actually because the western sun was beaming down onto this concrete, the concrete pavers, and then radiating back up into the windows. So they put this shade cloth on that you can remove during the winter and keep up during the summer. And some lovely landscaping and raised garden beds. So there were huge savings that they found that not only these changes made, but also some changes inside. They put up thick curtains with pelmets and increased the thermal performance incredibly.
Because this is slow as well.
I think there's a mouse here. So no. Oh, maybe I can just use this one. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so shading, huge difference. So those are some things that we can use, some concepts from passive solar design that we can apply to our homes right now. We don't have to wait until we find the perfect block and the perfect house. Oh, they also, you can't see it here, but they rendered the brick into a light colour so to help reflect the sun, and it also looked a lot nicer than the red brick. Okay, so now we're going to go.
So what was
yes,
the difference between the two halves then?
between the two
In the
houses.
performances, yeah.
Yeah.
Did they make a 5%
saving or?
I think it was
20%
much
or-
larger than that. I think it was over 50% saving, but it was because of a slew of changes right through the house, not because of those few things in the back. Yeah. So they still, at that time, we had some university students that were share housing there and renting. It's a Homes West house, so now some lucky family is living there and reaping the benefits. So we're going to take a trip around your house now, have a look at a few different elements, a few different things that you can look at. One of them that you're probably familiar with is insulation. Hands up if your house is insulated. Yeah, almost has to be in Perth for those summers. So one thing about energy efficiency is that you do need to maintain your house and maintain these changes that you make. Just like if you bought a fuel efficient car, you can't just say, bought the best car on the market and then just leave it for the next 10 years. You still have to get it serviced and maintain it. It's the same with things like insulation. So the bulk fill insulation, where they blow it into your ceiling, that helps keep the heat out or the heat in through the air pockets in the insulation. It traps the heat inside. So if you've had a leak in your house or your insulation is quite old, it may have compacted down and it won't be working as efficiently. So you can have a look. You can use this if you borrow the pack and see if you can find one of those hot spots. If you like, you can stick your head up in the ceiling, see if it will feel nice and fluffy. And if you think something's wrong, call an expert. Also, the reflective insulation obviously works by reflecting the heat away. So if it's got dirty or dusty, it's not going to be working as efficiently. So good idea to keep an eye on your insulation. Heat loss through windows is a really big thing. This is a picture of a Northern Hemisphere house where they're spending lots and lots of money. It's probably unducted air conditioning, and you can see the red bits is where the heat is escaping, and it's almost entirely around windows. So the way you treat your windows will make a huge difference in the efficiency of heating or cooling your home. And remember, we saw before that heating and cooling accounts for 50% of your home energy use. So this could be massive. 40%. So here you can see this little table tells us about the different effects, different treatments of our windows can have on our heating and cooling loss. The important thing to have a look at here is the importance of the pelmet. So does everyone know what a pelmet is? Right. So a pelmet keeps the heat in or the heat out. The curtains do a pretty good job, but as we know, hot air rises. So if it's hot outside and you've got the air conditioning on, the heat's going to come in through the glass. It's not going to be trapped there. It's just going to rise above your curtains if you don't have a pelmet and into the room. And similarly, if you're heating your house, the hot air is going to rise, and then as it cools, it's going to fall down and escape through your windows. So really important to have a pelmet. There's also lots of, you don't have to think of those old-fashioned pelmets when I say pelmet. Like this is a good example. I don't know if those blinds are very good, they don't look very thick, but you can see it creates a physical barrier at the top of those blinds between the window. And summer cooling, it's the external treatment of the windows that's really important. So like we saw the grapes and the shading, and also external awnings on your windows, keeping that summer heat out to be in. So top tips for thermal comfort. The first one is really straightforward, but if you've been coming home from work and turning your air conditioner on every day, you really need this reminder. So the thermal comfort of your home is about personal comfort, the comfort of you and the people you live with, not of the house. The appliances don't need to be kept cool. So if you're heating the whole house or cooling the whole house, you could be wasting energy. So instead, use things like hot water bottles or blankets or hugs to keep you warm during to keep you warm during the winter. Or similarly, in summer, have a cold drink or an ice cream, or go run outside, the sprinklers on your designated watering days to keep it cool. Just like we talked about with the windows. So in winter, like I did this morning still, opened up my western facing bedroom curtains. So during the day, when I'm not there, the sun is still flooding in and keeping my bedroom nice and warm. And when I come home, I close them, trapping that heat in, so my bedroom is a warmer temperature. In summer, close the curtains during the day, and then open them along with any security beds at night time. Choose the right appliance for the job and heat and cooling zones. So if you've got any doors, a lot of our homes are open plan these days that shut any bedroom doors or laundry doors that you don't need to open. And think about the appliance you're using for heating and cooling. So a reverse cycle air conditioner is actually quite an efficient choice for a really big space. Also draft proofing. Does anyone have a draft that they know of in your house over winter and you're just like, where is that coming from? This is a good thing, good way to check as well. The other thing you could do is use a candle, see if there's any flickering in the candle. And we do have some draft tape here. That's kind of why I asked for the draft. Some draft tape. So it's super cheap, really efficient. You can get it from the hardware store, and it'll fix you up and save you lots of money when you're heating and cooling. Use exercise to help you feel warm in winter. There's people dancing. Dance. And don't use heat-creating appliances in summer. So that big Christmas roast that you were thinking of making, maybe it's a good idea to move Christmas outside into the barbecue, because the oven's really going to heat up that space, especially with the 15 family members or something that you have coming over. So just really straight, like, common sense choices. If you take time to think about them, you could really make a difference. Oh yeah, and use a fan. So pedestal fans, very energy efficient way to cool yourself, because it's about your thermal comfort, not the thermal comfort of the house. They cost about 7 cents an hour to run, as opposed to a air conditioning unit which starts at about 70 cents an hour. So, and these are really lightweight, you can take them around the house with you, keep them on your way doing the dishes, whatever you like. Why are you laughing about it?
What about ceiling fan? Is that as efficient?
Yeah, it's still a really efficient way to cool yourself down. Yep. Right, so we saw that 20% of the energy use in your home or the average home is on water heating. Does everybody know how their hot water is heated? Some people gas.
Instantaneous.
Yep. Instantaneous gas, yep. So this is the hierarchy of efficiency, with the least efficient being on top, which is a little counterintuitive.
When you say phased out for the electric hot water system,
Yeah.
is that a legal thing that's happening now, and what time frames?
I'm not sure of the details, unfortunately. Do you have an electric hot water system?
Yeah. Well, I don't.
You know someone that does?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I have to look into that for you. But I don't imagine it would be a short time frame, because they do have a long warranty, a long life expectancy to hot water systems. Right through to gas hot water systems, instantaneous being more efficient than storage, and then of course solar hot water systems being the best bet. Remembering that with solar hot water, it does come with a booster, which will use gas or electricity. So the way you use your hot water will affect how often you'll have to use that booster. For example, you're better off having showers at night time after the sun has heated all of your water. You go and use it in the shower, rather than having showers in the morning where you have to use the booster to heat the water.
The cost of a whole solar water system is very high, and if you're only 1 or 2 people in a household, it's probably more efficient economically to have an instantaneous gas, because to actually repay the cost of solar system for the money you'd save.
Yeah.
It'd take you forever. You probably wouldn't live long enough for that.
It's definitely a big investment, and it's something that's why I like talking about it, because otherwise you get into a predicament like I was in. When your hot water system goes, that's not really the time to start researching this stuff and saying, oh, maybe I should get a solar hot water system. So yeah, it's great that you've looked into that and come to that conclusion for your house. But it's good for other people to look at this stuff now, so when the time comes for you to make that decision.
Certainly when there were 6 people in the family,
Right,
4 kids.
yeah.
But,
So you've moved homes.
yes,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
When you say heat pump systems, I haven't heard much about them and whether or not, like, can you tell us a little bit more about it?
So it's a combination. I don't really know much about them myself, but you still use gas or electricity, but it's a more efficient use of that. So
I've done a little bit of research on them.
Yeah,
They're
sure.
extensively used in Europe and North America. They work exactly the opposite to a reverse cycle air conditioner. So whereas the reverse cycle air conditioner takes in the hot air and uses the heat to affect the ammonium, I think that's right, and converts that into cold air, it does it the other way around. It takes the cold air and converts it into hot air. So that's what it works on exactly the same principle, and knowing that the reverse cycle air conditioner is very efficient, that's why it's tagged as a very efficient system, and it's used in Northern Hemisphere countries extensively.
So there you go, worth looking into. So top hot water tips. No one likes to hear it, but take quicker showers. Also, if you have one of those heat lamps outside of your shower, does anyone have a heat lamp? No? Yes? A couple. I do as well. And they seem, you're always told that the least efficient light bulbs give off a lot of heat. So and this is the whole purpose of this thing, so it doesn't seem very efficient. But if you need more of an incentive to step out of the hot shower, that lamp actually uses 20 times less energy than heating the water for your shower would. So don't feel bad about stepping into the heat lamp for a couple of minutes. Conserve hot water. So only do dishes when you have a full load. Do your washing using cold water only or a cooler water. Install a low flow shower head and get rid of any urns of heat water really inefficiently. I don't know if anyone has any urns anymore. Adjust your thermostat. So go and have a look at your hot water system and see what temperature it's storing your water at the moment. So we recommend 60 degrees for storage hot water or 50 degrees for instantaneous hot water. It's also an option to give your hot water system a holiday. If you're going away for 2 or 3 days, you can turn it off altogether. Just remembering that you'll have to turn it off for quite a few hours when you come home, so you won't be able to have that steaming hot shower in your own bathroom as soon as you get home.
With like showers, like as you're waiting for it to get warm, that's so much water being wasted. Is there like innovations for that?
Yeah.
There's a thing that you can put on your water pipes. I haven't done that, but I've looked at that too. And it collects that water and feeds it back into your storage system, so that you're not wasting any of that water. And then it just extracts the boiling water.
What I
I don't know how it does it, and it's not expensive
I
apparently.
don't understand why every day I have to find the temperature for my shower. Like it's the same every day. Why do I have to do that? Why can't I just remember the temperature that I want it at?
If you have a flip tap, I think you can, it's just on and off. But if you've got
Oh,
two
yeah,
taps, you've
yeah,
got
I've got 2 taps. Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe a digital tap. That would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So it just comes out at 40 degrees.
Your heat of the day as well.
Yeah, it could in the season. You're right.
We used to have a bucket in the shower.
Yeah, buckets
and
later.
stuff. But we're taking the bucket to water the plants. I kept leaving your trousers and my husband said, no.
Maybe a bigger bucket. Cool. Okay. So, on to everyone's favourite topic, lighting. Energy efficient lighting. It's the hierarchy of efficiency from incandescent globes right through to light emitting diodes, so LEDs, is the most efficient way to light your home. But also think about how you use them. So in this room, for example, if you count the number of light fittings there are, I haven't, but there's quite a few. So even if you put LED globes in each one of these, there's still a lot of globes, whereas maybe a couple of fluoro tubes in the middle of the room would light the room just as well, but probably wouldn't be as aesthetically pleasing. So just have a look at your own situation and decide what you think the most efficient way of lighting your home is. And some people don't like the compact fluorescent light globes, they don't like looking at them. They are advancing though, you can see there's a couple of different shapes. And some people do use them incorrectly. So these lights, especially the up and down ones, they'll give out most of their light at a 90-degree angle from the flat parts. So if you've got this second globe along and you've got it above your dining room table, you're probably going to be a little bit disappointed because all of the light is being dispersed outwards, whereas you want your light down. So you could put a lampshade there, or you could pick a more appropriate globe for that situation. So lots of choices when it comes to lighting. The first choice is to minimise artificial lighting altogether. So use blinds, or open your blinds, open your curtains, situate living areas of your house around the well-lit spots. Switch to energy efficient lighting where you can. Yeah, clean your windows. Use light-coloured furnishings and reflective surfaces to make the room appear lighter, even if it's not. Also, if you're maybe you're renting or you don't want to do the full switch to LED lighting, you could consider using lamps. You can get a really good energy efficient light bulb for your lamp, and then like we heat and cool ourselves instead of our home, we can light for our purpose instead of lighting the whole home.
Can you just go and buy LED light bulbs and put them in, or do you have to have a whole new fitment put into your lights for that?
Yeah, they do recommend that you get the transformer changed as well. The transformers for the LEDs will use less electricity than keeping your halogen transformers, and also the LEDs mostly have like 25-year lifespan, so but then you're not going to get that if you're using the wrong transformer. So it's a good idea to get an electrician to change the transformer as well. Right, moving on to refrigeration. Choose the right size fridge for your needs. Don't have one that's too big or too small. They won't work as efficiently. Does anyone have a drinks fridge? The second fridge that's just for drinks? No. I've got these giveaways and you're not telling me you have drafts or drink beverages?
My in-laws do.
Oh, your in-laws do. Oh, great.